Hi there, welcome to Food Rebels. This is the food and drink show dedicated to the exciting world of food founders, challenger brands and the people in food who are doing exciting things. I'm your host, AJ Sharp, and for the next 30 minutes we'll be providing a peek behind the curtain, on-air tastings, food and drink-based entertainment for our listeners around the UK and further afield. I'm really excited today to be joined by Rebecca Woolard, who is a food editor, writer, stylist, all-round foodie legend. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about you. You write for national magazines and you've been doing cool stuff in the food world for ages, haven't you?
I started cooking as a chalet girl in the mountains in France, and when I came home, I went to Leiths to train to be a proper chef, and then I started working in food magazines. So I worked at BBC Good Food, Delicious, Woman and Home, and now I'm freelance, so I write for anybody who wants me, basically. I write recipes mostly, and I teach food styling for photography as well.
That's very cool. And you do pop-ups and things like that.
Yes, yeah, that's a new thing. We moved to a house in the country in 2020 in the pandemic. So I have started doing at-home events where we do supper clubs and dems and all sorts of lovely things to do with food.
Amazing. I see you on Instagram. It looks really cool. If anyone else wants to see, is it the Modern Country Kitchen?
Yes, yeah, the Modern Country Kitchen, and it's based near Tenterden in Kent.
Oh, really cool. And you're joining us now for the next 4 shows.
Yes, can't wait.
Which is really cool. So today we've got a really cool show for you, and it's all about snacking. Are you a big snacker?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah, always the honest answer.
Yes, I love a snack. Love a snack. Because I spend a lot of the day cooking, quite often meals sort of go out the window, so snacking is a big thing. It just keeps you going.
Yeah, me too. I find it's the kind of 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I just start poking around the cupboards here, and we have so many samples and I'm like, I need something sweet. Do I want something crunchy? Do I want something salty? I don't really know.
No, there's a lot of thought goes into it.
A lot.
I'm impressed you make it to 4 though, because I'm normally around 2:33 is my slump time.
Yeah, you might be right. Well, we've got some really cool experts in the show today. We've got Laurie Firmer from Freddie's Farm Snacks. Hi, Laurie.
Hello.
And we've got Daniel Twiss from Soul Fruit.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's really great to have you guys in here. I met Daniel a couple of weeks ago at one of the trade fairs, and I was like, definitely award for the most enthusiastic stand I've been to visit. Just bouncing. You're like, we're having the best time.
As a new brand, going and attending trade shows and fairs like that is just such an exciting time for us. But yeah, it really definitely comes over a little bit too much, maybe.
No, I love it. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about Soul Fruit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Soul Fruit, we make dried fruit snacks, trying to be a kind of a healthy alternative to the mainstream kind of traditionally processed snacks, primarily crisps and sweets. So we actually dry our fruits in 2 different ways. One way turning it into our irresistibly chewy soft dried slices, and another way turning it into our satisfyingly crunchy fruit chips. So yeah, really just trying to encourage healthier eating and fruit-based alternatives.
That sounds amazing. And Laurie, can you tell me a bit about Freddie's Farm Snacks?
Yes, I think we've got a lot in common there actually as well with Soul Fruit. So we are kids snacks with a difference. Again, really focusing on minimally processing healthy snacks for kids. So we use fresh fruit and veg from Kent, just down the road, and turn them into our delicious snacks for kids. And they are packaged into paper packaging, which we are so proud of.
Oh, paper packaging. That's
Fantastic.
interesting.
Yeah, so we were the first, and I think we still are the only kid snack sort of in our category that has paper packaging, which we are just so proud of. It really was the cherry or the apple on the top there.
That's amazing. So you said they're healthier. What do you mean by that?
So we actually have a patented process, and the difference between us and a lot of other, especially children's snacks out there, is that we start with fresh fruit and veg rather than purees and concentrates, which everybody else does. So in layman's terms, it is roughly grated before being dehydrated, and then cold pressed either into our little tractor shapes in our fruit shapes or into our bars for our berry bars. So we developed the whole thing ourselves, and really, really proud of it. So that keeps free sugars lower, which means kids have fewer sugar highs and crashes, which I don't know about you guys, but as parents, I really like to avoid that.
Oh, yeah.
crash.
Yeah, for sure. So how does that work then? How does it stop free sugars? Because there's sugar, isn't there, in fruit, obviously.
So there's naturally occurring sugars in everything and fruit and things like that.
And is it better? Is sugar in fruit better than sugar in, a pot that you would sprinkle
absolutely.
over.
But in the way that sugars and fruits and things can be processed, even the natural sugars in fruit and veg can start to behave in our bodies, in our children's bodies, like added sugars. And that's what we really want to try and avoid. And that's what our process avoids. So scientifically, there's a bond between sugar and fiber. And when you overly process something, if you're pureeing it, if you're baking it at really high temperature, it breaks that bond. So that sugar is really readily absorbed by our bodies, which leads to this high spike and then the crash. Whereas we do absolutely minimal processing. So by grating it, we're trying to maintain as many of those bonds between the sugar and fiber as possible. And then because we dehydrate it rather than bake it at a nice low temperature, we're maintaining even more of those bonds. So there obviously will be some free sugars, but a lot less than all of our competitors.
Oh, so it's the bond with the fiber that's making it slower to digest.
Slower.
Oh, cool.
That's great.
I noticed, Dan, you were nodding along there. Is there like a similarity in your process here, or why were you nodding along?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's great to hear people talking about the same things, because sugar is this big taboo subject, and there's so many nuances within it, with an understanding how sugar affects the body, and actually how products therefore are delivering very different types of sugars. And I think it's exactly perfectly put. That bond with the fiber is the key element, really, when it comes to sugars, that you're looking for natural sources of sugars that are still bonded to the fiber. And the more you can do to retain all those the natural fiber within the snack products, the really important is, because exactly it's giving you long-lasting energy, because that sugar is being broken down slowly with the fiber, instead of it being something that gives you a real high sugary spike and a crash.
That makes complete sense to me. That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid during the day, isn't it? With like low GI, you're trying to eat oats, you're trying always, aren't you, to stop these kind of highs and lows.
Yeah, slow release energy is a big buzzword.
Yeah.
especially with kids.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I imagine you come across this a bit, don't you, with some of the food work that you do?
Yeah, I actually, since I had my son, I have done a lot of reading, and I'm very interested in especially ultra processed foods and the effect they have on the body. And yeah, it is a constant battle, especially if you're out and about, because you don't always want to be carrying a banana that's going to go bruised in your bag. And kids do love a snack.
That's we always sort of talk about it. We would always say like fresh fruit and veg for your kids and for us is number one. And we would always, with our own children, and recommend to everybody, give them an apple first, even before you give them our snacks. As proud as we are of them, it's not an apple. But when you've had an apple or a banana at the bottom of your handbag, they sometimes don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't want it after it's been bashed around in a handbag either. So we kind of feel that's like the next best thing, rather than a sugary treat when you're out and about that's sort of in their faces in coffee shops and things like that.
But that is what they want, isn't it? As in, like, they would much rather have something that comes in a packet. I know my 10-year-old, if I present them with some fruit when they're really hungry after hockey or something, they just look at me with the, I'm going to eat you. Like, oh, okay, not the banana, something that comes in a packet. Got it.
Yeah, it's interesting as well how kids and adults as well, how we respond to different kind of elements within snacking. And that often actually what's so important to them is actually texture. And when it comes to something that, feels like a treat, whether it's got that like satisfying chew or like a crunch, like a crisp, it makes kids think, wow, this is something really indulgent, real treat. And it's the same for adults as well. Like when it comes to snacking, texture is so important, and in some ways more important than flavor, because snacking is about satisfying a craving, and you have that urge and a craving for something, and texture is more based on what actually satisfies that. So exactly as you say, often fresh fruit, it may still provide them that kind of sweetness, or they might enjoy the flavor, but because the texture doesn't feel like something that feels like an indulgent snack, they know there's something probably better out there that they would like to go for.
Yeah, like salty crisps with my two usually. But I completely agree with you. Often that where I am kind of going and having a look through the cupboards in the kitchen thinking, I just want something crunchy.
Exactly.
I just want something chewy. I just want something. And it's not always, I remember seeing you guys at this trade show and you had crunchy, chewy. And it was like, which kind of, what variety do you feel like? And it was like, oh, I'm definitely at a crunchy point in the afternoon.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, for me, actually, when we started out the business, I used to be very much like during the day at lunchtime, I'd always have like a packet of crisps or something at lunch, very common in this country as well, your meal deal, etc. You're going to get some unhealthy crisps. But when it comes to the evening, if you're watching some TV, I'm all about something chewy. And it's really interesting how those different moods or different times of day, different snacks kind of, satisfy those cravings. So that's why we wanted to do them those two different ways. I think as we've spoken about, fruit is actually such a great source of nutrition, but actually promoting dried fruit snacks is something that has kind of fallen by the wayside in a bit. It's been a bit of a sleepy category in a way. And it's great with having new brands now really trying to reinvigorate that and using real fruit again instead of all of like the artificial sugars and additives and fruit flavored products instead.
Yeah, because some of them you look at in the supermarket and you think, oh, I may as well just buy a bag of Haribo.
100%. And you might as well buy a bag of Haribo. Yeah. And I'm all for that. Like, if I want to give my kids a treat, I want to give them a treat. But some of the things, not ours, on the shelves, it is really no better than a bag of Haribo. And at that point, I would like them to have a proper treat that they really, really enjoy, they really want, and that satisfied their craving. And then give them something sort of healthy the rest of the time.
Yeah, rather than pretending that it was a fruit snack where actually it's just got some juice concentrate somewhere once in the process.
And it's probably worse for them at that point.
Yeah, I remember being duped by my kids into buying those kind of gummy strings that were apparently made from fruit, and they were getting really nuts on these things. And I was thinking, what is this?
I don't think those
until I tried some.
I don't think they've ever seen a strawberry in their lives.
Never. Ever. Literally ever. They did taste good though, but I see what you mean. Like, let's have a treat at treat time, or let's eat something healthy.
Yeah, because that builds much healthier habits as well, knowing that a treat is a treat and it's not something to be feared or avoided. It's just not for every day.
Absolutely. So. But I think you're really right about, like, I feel that the supermarket shelves are quite sort of stagnant at the moment. There's a lot of just the same brands. I think there's starting to be a little bit of a shift where we're seeing some really exciting brands hitting the supermarket shelves now.
There seems to be more innovation coming through, doesn't there?
And whether it's supermarkets maybe taking a bit of a risk or a punt on someone or just believing in them. And I think it's amazing to see. And hopefully there's going to be a lot more exciting brands hitting the shelves.
I think people have realised as well that, well, probably supermarket buyers have realised, and manufacturers, that people are a lot more awakened to the idea of ultra-processed food, and they can't really just stick a strawberry on it anymore and pretend that it's healthy. So they do actually have to put some effort into making them taste good, but also keeping the nutritional content there.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. You're right. I think one of the best supermarkets that I always like is Ocado for that, because they seem to take on new brands really quickly. It seems to be one of the first places that the new brands launch into. And it's available for delivery wherever you are, which I'm always, whenever I go on there and you kind of type in something, you're like, oh, there's 25 options. Yeah. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ocado.
Yeah, I love it. It's always got the latest things. Where are you guys stocked? Where's Freddie's farm? Where can we get it?
So we are on Ocado, which is great. We got on with them really early, but recently we've just launched into Tesco, which is just been incredible.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Which is very, very exciting. And our buyer is amazing. And she was very much aware that it's the same stuff over and over and over again for kids, especially on the shelves. So she was sort of taking a punt with us. So we've just launched nationwide on Monday this week. So
does that mean Charlie's, literally? Because your other half, your partner, is... He makes all the snacks, doesn't he?
Yeah, so we like to make life like really hard for ourselves. So we are farmers, so we grow everything pretty much. We rely on a few neighbouring farmers, but yeah, we grow it, we manufacture it ourselves and pack a lot of it ourselves as well, just to make it extra tricky. But it does mean that from plant to packet, we know exactly what is going in. And especially, I think at the beginning with a new brand, it's really important to make sure you're getting it right every step of the way. And especially with our process, we want to make sure that we're getting all the things right, all the health benefits are coming through, and predominantly taste as well. But yes, I haven't seen him for a while, which is fine, but I know where he is. He's in the factory. He's very busy, but I've managed to bring some along today. Tesco have the rest of them, which is good.
Amazing. And whereabouts are you stocked?
So we're in Planet Organic, Ocado as well, Selfridges, Harrods, and Holland & Barrett online now.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. Cool. Congrats. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Exactly. I think, it's a place, as we're saying, right, that there are a lot of challenger brands coming out there and innovating in a lot of spaces, but often the fruit and dried fruit space, I feel like it's been something that's been left behind. So I think that brands that are out there trying to target that kind of sector and seeing that gap in the market, I think there's just such great opportunities. And the retailers are looking for those kind of products, with HFSS legislations, consumer awareness growing. Exactly. It is a really growing category.
Oh, I love it. It's really cool. Right. Who should we start with? Laurie, can we start with yours?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
So I've brought along today, our original product was our fruit shape, which is one you've got there.
Fruit shape. So this is a blueberry fruit shape.
Yeah, they've all got a base of apple, carrot, beetroot and spinach. So we've always got veg in there as well. And then these are blueberry ones. And they're quite rough around the edges. They're not like the other kid snacks that you see out there that are cookie cutter, picture perfect, because, fresh fruit and veg isn't. And no two apples look the same, no two carrots look the same. And you can see the bits of carrot in there, you can see all the bits, you can see the fibre. And parents don't need to take our word for it that they're healthy. You can really see what we're talking about in there.
I like the little tractor shapes as well. Very cute.
They're very cute.
I like that they're not super sweet.
Yeah.
They're
Quite fresh in a way.
yeah.
Yeah, really good sweetness level.
They're refreshing.
Absolutely.
It tastes like an apple.
That's what
I've got that slightly mouth-watering thing
Yeah.
you get in your mouth when you eat an apple.
it is. Yeah, it is. That's what we're trying to do. And I think especially when you've got sort of a healthy product, taste has to be the number one thing. We want it to be incredibly healthy, but if it can be the healthiest product in the world, but if it doesn't taste nice, like your kids are not going to eat it. They don't sugarcoat it at all. If they don't like something,
They tell you.
They tell you.
Too
As I
right.
found out yesterday when I made chocolate eclairs and my son said, no one's going to eat these.
I will. You bring those.
Kids. Oh, thanks. Okay.
Mummy's worked quite hard on these.
Yeah.
But never mind.
That's an afternoon down the train. Great.
And then you've got these bars. These look really cool.
Yeah,
so
those are our berry bars.
same kind of concept. So you've got in the fruit pieces, you've got raspberry, blueberry, and apple.
One. And then with the bars, so these are our berry ones. So we've got raspberry, blueberry, and a strawberry one as well. Aimed at sort of slightly older children. I mean, they're great for lunch boxes. They're not advertised, marketed as like a free-from snack, but because it's 100% fruit and veg, I mean, there's nothing else in there. So it's great for taking along to school or like birthday parties where kids might have different allergies and things that they can eat. So everybody can enjoy the snack, which is great.
They really do just taste like proper dried fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And the packaging, the paper packaging, no less, has no added sugar. You've got a little Union flag there, made in the UK. I really like that. That's really cool.
And Freddie on the front. So Freddie is our son, and he is now 7, turning 8 at Christmas time, and he still loves them. And he's got a little sister. We always forget to mention her, and I think we're going to be paying for this in therapy in years to come.
Don't.
But yeah, so she is just turned 4, and she loves them. And I find what's really handy is to be able to take one snack out with me that both the children will eat. So it's quite good for like all age ranges, which is great.
Yeah, that's really cool. So does Freddie get involved in, is he kind of part of the family business, as it were?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're chief taste testers, first and foremost.
Excellent.
Which is very important. And again, if they don't like it, like that.
Yeah, you'll get an honest
This,
answer.
I don't like these ones. They're not as good as the ones you made last week. And she was, I've got to go back to the factory. Oh, God. They get really involved, and we like to test stuff on them, and even the design elements. And we do with our online things, we include little games for kids to do colouring in and stuff. So they loved getting involved in the process of designing all of those.
That's really cool.
I really like on the back that you say Freddie's Farm is real, visit my website, because there's so many different brands out there that are sort of so-and-so's farm or so-and-so the farmer.
Yeah.
It's not real.
There's I think in the supermarkets, like with like chickens, and like these are where the happy chickens live. And
Yeah.
you're like, that's not a real farm.
Or pictures of rolling
rolling
hills.
hills.
And,
No.
yeah.
These are not happy
They're
chickens.
not happy chickens. This is a real farm. There's real apple trees.
I've been
Freddie's
to
real
visit you there, in
living-
fact.
Yeah. It is very much a real place, and it's very muddy and very stressful a lot of the time, which that is a real farm.
When you did that Aldi, what was it called?
Aldi's next big thing.
That was it. And I remember you'd put something on Instagram of like, yes, never work with children and animals. And you were like carting your kids across a muddy orchard going, oh my goodness.
But I always find it amazing, even if we've got someone to come and take photos, or when we were filming that, they kind of capture these like lovely moments. You're like, that wasn't what the day was like at all. Everybody was crying by the end of it.
Oh, that's social media though, isn't it? As long as you get one photo.
But I think like it's really
Everyone's
good
smiling.
for the kids though, because they'll look at it and go like, that was like Ottavio, like she was crying all the time before that picture. And I was like, yes, can you remember that is a snapshot of that day? Like that was not art. No, but they love it. They love getting involved. And yeah, the dog's involved. Everyone's involved. It's good.
It's amazing. It's really cool. I'd love to try your soul fruit snacks as well. Where should we start here? Because you've got five
So
different flavors.
5 flavors. So we have 3 fruits, but we do 2 of them in 2 different textures, in the crunchy chips and the chewy soft dried. So you have the mango as a crunchy and a chewy option, the dragon fruit as a crunchy and a chewy option, and then the jackfruit we just do as the crunchy chips.
What to start with?
Oh, really
Chewy
depends. There's,
first and then crunchy?
yeah, let's go that way around. I think the soft dried fruits are more traditional, what people know and understand. So it's something that I think is probably the kind of the entry point there. But it's what we've kind of tried to focus on with creating the range of snacks that my wife Nat is very, very much really focuses on the texture of the food that she eats, and that's the really thing that she likes the most. And where I really, really love like fruit flavors. So it was something that we were looking at as, that's what really you need to do to make a really good snack. And when we basically were looking at meeting drying factories and farmers and so on, we were basically going through all these different drying technologies as well to kind of see what we could do with the fruits, and realizing that we're able to dry them into what we call our satisfyingly crunchy chips. I think that really makes a big difference, that you're actually able to make fruit have much, much wider appeal to people, because we are a nation of crisp snackers at the end of the day, and crisps are one of our absolute favorite snacks. But actually, often when people are looking for something to snack on, we often want something sweet because we want that little mid-afternoon pick-me-up that you referred to. So that's what we really try to focus on, is delivering a really good flavour, but really coupling that with a super satisfying texture, whether you're a cruncher or a chewer.
Because sometimes you don't actually want the crisp, you just want the crunch. And that's
Those
perfect.
crunchy ones are amazing.
And they're super
Really
crunchy
like
as
the
well.
crunchy ones.
Really great.
I think it's very noisy while I'm eating.
But it's fine. 76 calories in a bag.
Yep.
And that's quite a good sized bag. It's like a size of a packet of crisps or something, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it starts off in its life as around 90 grams of fresh fruit. And when dried, that goes down to about 20 grams of the chips and 30 grams with the soft dried, just because of the extra kind of water weight. But exactly that, when you actually see what that is relevant in a bag, it is actually quite a lot. But it is just 100% fruit. There is nothing added to it. All we do is simply slice and dry the fruit. Again, going back to that fibre conversation, it retains all of the fibre. So all of those sugars are still kind of the natural fruit sugars that are slowly absorbed by the body. But yet you're able to deliver that kind of like crunchy and chewy snacks, which we typically only get from ultra processed. And that's what all of our backgrounds are. We've all come from eating all those products for so long that what we're looking for is something that still delivers those same satisfaction and those same points, but we're just doing it in a natural way. So not with added sugars, with natural sugars. You know, we're not getting the kind of crunchiness from kind of frying in oils and so on like that. We're getting from like drying processes instead.
It's really clever. I've never had mango taste so crunchy and easy to eat, because you kind of crunch it up and then it sort of dissolves, doesn't it?
It's
Yeah.
got a kind of like a breakfast cereal way of kind of properly crunchy breakfast cereal that you want to eat a whole box of.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
really shouldn't.
But that's what's so good as well. Is so they're obviously packaged as kind of grab and go snacks, but they actually work so well in so many other ways, like on top of like yogurt in the morning with breakfast, because having that, again, that crunchy texture
Yeah.
mixed in as well is really, really good. And then also on top of ice cream, home baking, like there's so many ways that you can use it. But as you mentioned about cereals, exactly that, you know, that was one of the first places where these kind of like different drying methods for fruit kind of first came into existence, really. It's like your Special K kind of
Yeah.
red berries in a way. But actually looking at that, and if you were to eat the fruity parts out of the cereal, I know some people that do that, when you eat those pieces of fruit, the texture of that often isn't hugely what you would look for in a snack. So that's what we've done, is we said, well, let's go down that route, but let's really still adjust it to make sure that it is actually those textures people are really craving from snacks.
But it's not, and it's not that kind of dusty, crumbly taste that mango has. Some sort of dried fruit can just be a bit kind of dusty and dry and make your mouth. But that's like really mouth-watering. It almost reminds me of like a honeycomb.
Yeah.
Um,
Tastes really fresh,
yeah.
doesn't it? And the fruit, the mango flavours are coming through. I eat dried mango a lot. I love dried mango. But I've never had it crunchy like that. And it was that I tasted at the show that I was like, that's amazing.
And it's interesting because when we do shows and so on, the crisps are the thing that get people really excited because it is a little bit different. We use basically like similar to a freeze drying technology that retains all the nutrients, but we've adapted it a little bit to really focus on delivering that great texture as well with it that, you know, replicates what we call our crisp-like crunch.
Is that how you've done it? Like a freeze dry? That makes sense.
Exactly. It's using that same sublimation technology. And again, there's so many advances in kind of like drying technology and food processes as well that it's just really, we are not from the food industry at all. Everything that we've learned was working with suppliers. We essentially tried to be Willy Wonka with dried fruit. So we went and met different fruit factories and drying places and we're saying, you know, what fruits can you dry? How can we dry them differently? And just really experimenting loads of different ways to kind of see where we could get at.
Well, we're all tucking in here because these are delicious.
Can't stop.
The dragon fruit, just before we came on air, we were having a conversation about how dragon fruits are delicious when you're on holiday in Asia, but when you get them here, they're really quite dull. But you seem to have distilled the essence of that flavour right into the dragon fruit chips. That I was really surprised by the strength of the flavour.
Yeah,
Great.
When you dry and you concentrate down, you remove the water, you do concentrate down that flavour. But it is also interesting to see how the difference between the soft dried dragon fruit and dragon fruit chips, they end up with slightly different flavours because of just the drying processes. So with the soft dried, you'll end up tasting a little bit more of the seeds kind of inside the fruit. So it gives that slightly sesame-ish kind of almost flavour. So it's not like that kind of strong acidic kind of fruit flavour. But whereas then with the chips, you taste a bit more of the flesh. So it's just from the different drying processes, it kind of brings out different notes within the fruit. But again, we kind of always say, you know, there's something for everybody within the range.
And they're not overly sweet either. I don't like dried fruit when it's cloying, that horrible sort of sickly.
Makes your teeth hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are delicious. And but it's almost like a cracker. It's almost savoury, that one. You can
Yep.
have it with something on top of it and get that lovely.
Probably have it with a piece of cheese or something.
I was
lovely.
thinking like some hummus and some cheese. I mean, that would be delicious, wouldn't it?
Because you're often adding fruit anyway, aren't you, in a quince jelly or whatever. You could actually use that as a cracker.
Oh, canapé bases.
Yum.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. There are so many kind of roots and kind of applications for them, again, with the different flavors, those textures as well. It just makes them so diverse. And that's why when we talk about it, we don't just say, oh, we're just a dried fruit brand, because what we're trying to do is turn dried fruit to be much have wider appeal and much wider use, because fruit is just meets what everybody's looking for at the moment. No added sugar, high in fibre, 1 of your 5 a day, vegan friendly, gluten free.
Tastes good.
It tastes good. It's a natural form of source of sweetness. And at the end of the day, we all love sweet tasting things, but we're all not wanting to have these artificial or refined sugars. And fruit is one of the few places where it comes naturally, it's healthy, the right kind of flavour profile as well. So I just think as more people are trying to promote fruit-based eating fruit instead of all of these artificial or processed snacks is just the way forward.
And this fibre element as well. Gut health is obviously massively on the agenda because of its link with your mental health and everything. So where you've got fruit where it's tasting good, but you're also getting some good fibre into your body, we all know that it's got to be better for our whole body, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the sugars. It keeps you feeling fuller for longer. You know, it's that slower, longer term energy source. The gut health, again, so many wide-ranging benefits.
I mean, ours are prebiotic because of the way that we do it with the process, because of keeping that bond with the sugar and the fibre and all of that. It's prebiotic as well. So it's just, it's so good on so many levels. And I think people have spent so long trying to create alternatives and they just need to stop mucking about with things. And I think we are kind of going back to basics.
Yep.
And saying like the raw ingredients are there. You don't need to do too much to them. And they're delicious and so much better for you.
But we are, as a nation, the most time poor and money poor that we have ever been. We want the convenience. We want the value for money. We want to be healthy. We want to be all things to all people in all directions. And this is why I think sometimes the apple at the bottom of your bag just doesn't cut the mustard in that moment where you're busy or you've been on set all day or you've been on the farm all day. You need something that's convenient, that's easy, that your kids are going to accept, that your colleagues are going to accept. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, I think like it or not, our kids, they grow up in such an environment that everything comes in packets that's desirable. And as much as you sort of say, look, people used to go nuts for an orange, they just don't want one.
I know.
They want the packaging.
That's the reality. And in an ideal world, we should all be just giving the kids fresh, whole fruits and vegetables, but that's not possible. And so when that's not possible, I think what we've got to do, and I think what we've both done here, is create kind of the next best thing. And it stops them reaching for that overly processed, sugar-filled snack, but it's still satisfying and it's still good for them. And it's good for us as parents. We're incredibly time poor, but it saves us time and we don't feel guilty giving it to them.
Which is the main thing. Yeah.
5 minutes off from feeling guilty is always nice.
Yeah,
Someone
absolutely.
described our snacks as 5 minutes piece in a packet. And I think,
perfect.
That's what all parents want.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe it, but we're actually out of time. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in, Laurie from Freddie's Farm
Thank you
Snacks.
for having me.
Have a look at their website, check them out. And thank you so much, Dan Twiss from Soul Fruits. Really nice to meet you guys and to hear more about what you've been doing. We're going to keep an eye on you guys for the future for sure. And thank you very much to my co-host and guest presenter, Rebecca Willard. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on all the podcasting apps such as iTunes, Spotify, Audible, and it's syndicated to radio stations across the UK. Thanks for listening.